Well, for more, let's speak to Andrew P. Leung, who is an international and independent China strategist. He joins us from Hong Kong. Thanks so much for speaking to us. I mean, what's your feeling here? Will something get settled before this March 1st deadline so that we don't have to fear a dangerous escalation in this trade war?
Well, a lot of things have happened on the ground, and indications are that both sides want a deal. Even it means extending the so-called March the 1st deadline. But if you look at the trade talks, there are some deep-seated issues. First of all, there is a question of reciprocity. The United States feels that the Chinese economy is not as open as the American economy is open to China. So there's a question of market access. The second issue is the creating a more level playing field. The United States feels that a lot of Chinese businesses are being protected by the Chinese state in face of foreign competition. So they want a more level playing field, less restrictions and so on. The third issue is the protection of intellectual property. So it translates into what is alleged to be forced intellectual property transfer of foreign businesses operating in China. And then last but not least is the kind of technological rivalry of which Huawei, of course, is the prime example. But if you look at all these issues, there was a give and take on both sides. As far as market access, China has already recently, even before the trade war, already introduced directives opening up certain sectors of China's economy. But the question is that America wants the financial sector to be opened up almost entirely. The sectors like telecommunications, sectors like even power and energy. So some of these sectors are protected because of the Chinese feel that their economy is not robust enough to withstand a full-scale foreign assault on local enterprises, apart from the fact that certain sectors are protected because of national security.
Right.
Now, as far as, so there are issues to be looked at on both sides, but I think the prognosis is good.
Yeah, I mean, and that's in the longer term here. I mean, this trade war, these talks have created a level of global economic instability that has had everyone rather nervous. But ultimately, could all this kind of trade war talk be a good thing if, in a sense, in the end, it does level the playing field, as you said?
Well, naturally, I think it is. I think in a way, Beijing knows this because, as with what happened with China's efforts to join the WTO, China had to give in and had to suffer, in fact, certain concessions in order to get the WTO. But look at what the WTO has done to China's economy. And now this trade war highlights certain problems in the way that China's engaged with the rest of the world. So I think that these, from that perspective, is a good thing for China and a good thing for the United States.
But let me ask you quickly, I mean, from the consumer's point of view, consumers, particularly in the United States, have loved the fact that they're getting goods so cheaply, and many of them don't really care if it costs the U.S. a number of jobs. So how will the consumer actually feel when the cheap goods they're used to ultimately have to get more expensive?
Well, if we look at this trade war, I mean, first of all, there is a number of false sort of agendas. For example, the deficit. Even if China reduces the deficit, in fact, the deficit has been declining already. It doesn't mean that the United States can all produce all the goods, the sort of goods China has been exporting to the United States. All these goods, America is cannot produce themselves because they're simply too expensive. And these goods are kind of low value, kind of or middle kind of technology. Even if these goods are not imported from China, they've got to be imported from some other countries. And also the thing that the kind of rhetoric that somehow the Chinese economy can be completely sealed off is really it's a no-brainer because China is embedded in almost everything. Even if certain products are not marked made in China, China is contributing in various ways in terms of logistics, in terms of materials, in terms of components, and so on and so forth. So I think that we're seeing a world much more globalized and much more interdependent. So I think that these four issues are really, which I highlighted earlier, reciprocity, level playing field, intellectual property, and technological rivalry. But I think that all these four issues will take a little bit longer to resolve.
Okay. Andrew Leung, we'll have to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us there from Hong Kong.